Guys played hard. Both teams did. It was a good college basketball game. Seemed like a more normal type of game, kind of game I'm used to being in around and have a chance to make some good decisions at the end and win the game. And we didn't make good decisions. I thought in the last, I'll have to go back and look. Even at the 6-minute mark, our carelessness with the ball just really impacted. And oftentimes guys these days, they live in a world of infinite opportunities and infinite amount of possessions, and it's finite now, and it's going to run out. And so each one of those is you look at a game the way it goes down, and we threw a careless interception for a dunk on the other end multiple times. And so it's frustrating to that end, but I'm really happy with the guys' effort. That's a competitive winning effort. That's what that was. And so, and we got a couple pretty good performances and a couple guys that were not particularly efficient, but they did enough to have a chance to win it at the end of regulation.
You talked about some of those turnovers. What about that press really gave y'all some issues?
Being tentative. I mean, I think it was right there in front of our face. You play against like the old VCU, that's what they do. It's every possession, and you know what it is. And they have 3 different kinds of presses, and you expect a little bit of that. But I think it was smack in our face for the most part. You get the ball in bounds, 2 guys are going to be on you in a fairly aggressive manner, and you got to find a guy, and then that guy's got to attack. And I thought we were passive and tentative to the tune of turning it over, to the tune of not getting over in 10 seconds, to the tune of even when we did get the ball past half court, we didn't attack. And you have to attack. I mean, if you don't attack when they are going to commit 2 guys to you, then eventually they'll try it again and then again, and then it's a risk-free attack on their behalf. And I just don't think I thought we were tentative and we weren't aggressive and we weren't sure of ourselves. And some of that was a byproduct of that being the first time probably any of those guys have been in that situation where a ball's going to be in your hands. You got to get it across. If you do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in a row, you win comfortably. If you don't, things are going to get real dicey, and things got real dicey because we didn't make some good decisions.
What did you see on the last play of regulation?
We had a chance to win in regulation, and that was the only way we were going to have a chance to win in regulation, is to do it the way I did it. And so guys did a really good job of executing it. We got them to take a shot that probably in that timeout before that was not the shot that they said they were going to take. They shot early, we rebounded it, and we had a chance to win in regulation. So I have to go back and look at it again. It looked like, I don't anticipate that there's ever going to be a foul called there unless it's a tackle. And so I just thought we had a great opportunity to take, and there was probably a little more time. Zach's obviously never been in that situation in a college game, and there was probably a little more time even than what he thought. But you err on the side of trying to get the thing off. You don't want to have it in your hand as the buzzer sounds.
How about the last possession of overtime, the long inbound pass?
Yeah. We tried to get the ball. They switched the original screen, which made it a little more congested in the middle of the floor. And so we didn't get a clean catch on it. It was to get a clean catch, and sort of reminiscent of the old Bryce Drew deal. Something like that. Michi was going to be coming off the backside of it, and so, but they switched it, and we didn't get a clean catch. So I'll second guess that for eternity. But I thought it was a good chance for us if we could do that, to run free and step into a shot, even if it was deeper. Particularly with Michi, he's got pretty good range anyway. So even if it ended up being a deeper shot, if he was moving towards the basket, I felt really good about for his chance to make it.
Hayden and Jacoby both said the key to this offense, what's going well, is fluidity, and they feel like the press kind of stopped that. Do you feel like that fluidity is kind of what makes you guys go, and how did the press kind of change that?
I think any offense needs fluidity, to be honest with you. I think if you're choppy, it's probably not the deal. But sure, the press slowed it down some. It's more difficult to press when you get stops. So that was a big part of it, which is honestly on the board before the game. One of the first offensive bullet point for our keys to our offensive success was defensive stop. So they were able to press more because we didn't get some stops. They got aggressive. They got to the free throw line. It just was. But yeah, I think we were moving the ball well. We were attacking, and we got the ball inside a little bit more. Also, we only had 2 turnovers in the first half, so you're more likely to get whatever your points per possession is going to be. Ultimately, you get another 8 possessions because you don't turn the ball over. Even if you're at 0.5 points per possession, you're going to get 4 extra points on the thing. Normally, you like to be around 1. So I think there was a lot of stuff that went into it. But yeah, certainly if we can move the ball freely and move ourselves around, that's the key to most offenses.
You mentioned some individual performances you liked. What can you kind of take from this game, especially that first half, and stack onto Tuesday and the games going forward?
Yeah, we got the ball around the basket. That was one thing. We haven't done that on a consistent basis at all. We did. And we got forced into fouls a couple times in there. Those guys between BBV and Josh were really good on the boards on the offensive glass. But I think that hopefully Hayden feels good, and Jacoby made some threes. We're going to need him to make some threes. We just are going to. He has to take some threes, and then he has to make some of those. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough day of sledding most games. Because he's going to play, because he tries to do what we ask him to do. He's a solid on the ball defender, and so hopefully he can take some real confidence away from this, and to that end anyway, and learn from some of the situations. He was in the backcourt and got double teamed and turned the ball over. So maybe hopefully he can learn from that, and being aggressive and trying to rip it back and attack that baseline when that double team comes maybe. But those would be the 2 guys in particular that hopefully, just based on how they played, they gained some confidence moving forward.
Did you see much difference in Gigi's approach in the second half compared to the first half? Seemed like in the first half he was really confident. Seemed like he kind of had the game in his hands offensively in the first half.
Not particularly. Not really.
Daniel Hankins Sanford didn't play for the first time in an SEC game. Is that a coach's decision, or is there any kind of injury there?
No, that was coach's decision. Just the way the game was going and what we had going on, and I thought the other 2 bigs did a pretty good job. Hayden was having a good day, so that's just the way it shook out.
How'd you read your guys in the locker room after a game like this, one that was there for the taking?
Yeah, it's hard to get a beat on these guys sometimes. Just like I said, they live in the times are different. The times are different. They'll probably talk on the back of the bus. We lost when I was in school. You didn't say a word on the back of the bus, and so it's just a little bit different. So, there's a lot of ways it could be. I sensed a little bit of shucks. That was one that was there for the taking. I did sense some of that. That's not a bad thing, but I hope there are enough other guys that go beyond shucks, and there's a different word they're going to use to describe the opportunity that we had and how it ended up getting to where it got to, and take some. You have to be upset enough about how it turned out to alter the things that helped it get to where it got to. Otherwise, you're just, again, if it's an infinite number of games, well, why do you care if you lose this one? It doesn't matter that much. We'll get to the next one. So hopefully there were enough guys that were, have a bad enough taste in their mouth that will make some changes in some of these areas.
Thanks, Coach.